My name is Virginia Molinelli.
And your birth date?
June 30th, 1922.
And you served in World War II in the
And
Navy.
Navy Hospital.
And your highest rank?
Pharmacist mate, I don't know if it was first class or third class.
And you served in San Diego?
Yes, at the big naval hospital in San Diego, and also at China Lake Hospital in Kern, California. That was out on the Mojave Desert. They built a hospital out there. It was a naval ordnance testing station. They had 2 ammunition plants out there, and the California Institute of Technology. All their people worked there, and they had housing there on the base for them too.
Where were you born?
In South Haven, Michigan.
And who was in? How many siblings did you have?
There were 5 girls and 4 boys in my family.
Wow. What did your father do for a living?
He was an electrician.
And you said you had brothers that were in the service too.
Yes, I had 3 brothers in the service. I was the only girl in the family that went into the service. My brother, Charles, he was a lot younger. And I think he was drafted. I don't know where he took his training, because I didn't live there anymore, And anyhow, when he finished his basic training, he was sent overseas. And now he was in the Korean War. He was sent overseas. I don't know the base he was at or anything like that. But the first night he was there, they put him on guard duty at night. And one of our own men went berserk and shot him. And his body was ripped open on the right side, from this elbow all the way down the whole side. It was ripped open. The humerus bone was broken in 3 places. And I don't know what he ripped apart in here, but he was in a body cast. Well, first they sent him to a hospital in Honolulu, and then they sent him home to Battle Creek, Michigan. There's a veterans hospital there, and they put him in a body cast. And this arm was like this, folded out like this, and this was in the cast, and the cast went all the way down to here, and up to his neck. This arm was free, and he was right-handed, and he had learned to write with his left hand. And he had that body cast on for 18 months. And then he was discharged. And he had to go back. Every time he had shrapnel left in his body, and every time that shrapnel worked his way to the outer portion of the skin, that it would leave a lump there, and he would have to go to the hospital and have the shrapnel removed. And so I think when he died, he still had a shrapnel in him.
Let's talk a little bit about your service.
Well,
what was the date that you enlisted?
May 4th. That's the day I left. I enlisted in March, and they didn't call me till May the 4th, 1944.
And why did you want to join the Navy?
I always wanted to be a nurse, but I didn't have the money for it, and I didn't know anything about cadet nurses. I had 2 sister-in-laws that become cadet nurses, and they didn't have to pay for it, But anyhow, I come home from work one night, and I was with my girlfriend, and I took the mail out of the mailbox, and there was this letter from the Navy, and if we were interested in joining the Navy, that we should fill out that blank and send it in. So we got to talking about it and about what they wear and everything. And my girlfriend, she says, I wonder if they wear navy blue underwear. So I said, we'll find out. We sent that thing in. One night we come home from work. There was a Navy wave officers sitting on our doorstep waiting for us to come home. So we all went in the house and we talked about everything. And I asked her about the medical corps, but I really wanted to be a parachute rigger. But you had to be 5'6" at least to do that. And so then the medical corps was the next one I wanted. So that officer went home, and in the mail not long afterwards come a letter from her, and it had a train ticket to South Bend, Indiana. And she said, you go to South Bend, there's the free ticket, and you'll find out if you can pass the physical and the aptitude test. And so my girlfriend and I started talking about that. And then we thought, we never rode on a train. We get to ride on a train. So anyhow, we went to South Bend, and they separated us when we got there. And I took my aptitude test and I passed it. And I took my physical and I passed that. And when we were all through with that, they took us into a special room and they said, now you're not in the Navy unless you, I want all of you to line up here in the line. And if you don't want to be in the Navy, don't get in that line. And everybody in that room got in that line to sign up to be in the Navy. And I was the only one standing there by myself because I didn't want to go then. And I felt like a darn fool standing there all by myself. So I went over there and I got in the line with the rest of them. And I couldn't find my girlfriend. And then when we were ready to go home, she came and she said, they won't take me because I'm not quite 21. I have to have my parents' signature and everything. So I was in and she was out.
How did your parents support your decision?
I didn't even ask my parents because at that time I was working in Kingsbury. I was working at the Kingsbury Ordnance Plant there. I was making fuses for something. I didn't understand what it was for though. So that's how I got in the Navy. And I'm glad I did it because it was a great learning period for me, you know, and it was nice. They give us a paper to fill out, and I had never been any place in my life, and I had never seen a mountain or anything like that. And they had all these names of the different hospitals we could go to. And I thought, well, San Diego's far away. I thought about going to one in Pensacola, Florida. And I said, no, maybe someday I'll have enough money to go there. That's not very far from Michigan. I'm going to take San Diego, California, because it's far away.
So they let you choose.
So they sent me to California, and
did you take the train? Did you take the train?
Yes, and I was on that train for 5 days before it got. We got on the train at Washington, D.C., and we went to Los Angeles and then down to San Diego. They told us that there was 20,000 patients there at World War II in the height of the war. But sometimes when the hospital ships come in, we would have to stay there until we had every patient had a bed.
Wow.
They would come on foot or with a cane or with crutches or a wheelchair or a gurney.
And what department were you in?
Well, this is besides the duty I did. We all had to go help get the sick boys a place to sleep that night.
Mm.
We would have to help show them where they were going and everything and things like that.
Wow.
But it was okay.
Where did you live when you were there?
We had barracks.
You had barracks?
Uh-huh. I can remember I was in 131 barracks. I was
There's something wrong with your memory.
I was next to the chow hall. The barracks was right next to the chow hall. But
So did you help with, were you like in surgery or were you in?
no, well, when I first went there, I was working on the women's ward. Then I was transferred to maternity. And I was at San Diego 6 months. And they were sending a lot of the Wave Hospital Corps members out to Inyo Kern, California, on the Mojave Desert. And I don't remember how many was with our group. It wasn't too many people. And they send us out on Christmas Eve day.
Oh.
And when we got to the China Lake Hospital in Inyo Kern, California, there was no place for us to sleep. Our barracks wasn't finished yet. And they had a bunch of men come and set up bunk beds in the schoolroom they had there for, I think it was first grade children.
Wow.
And they put those bunk beds up there, and I think we stayed there maybe like a week and a half or something like that. And it wasn't bad. I enjoyed looking at all the children's artwork on the wall and stuff like that. It was nice. People were nice to me. But I know when I was at Inyo Kern's, the doctor used to fight it. The doctors and the nurses used to fight over me because they wanted me to be in a certain place, you know, that I would be responsible for the babies, you know. But some people would just, you know, I don't know what you call it, be monkeying around and do their duty or something.
Did you get to go back to Michigan ever while you were in California?
I think I went home once.
Were you homesick?
No, I remember one time the man that was the head of the doctor was, he always wanted me to, like if there was someone that had to be special that were very, very sick, I most of the time had to take care of them like that. And,
wow.
And
you must have thought highly of you.
when they did, they used to fight over me, and that's the truth.
Wow.
It was a Dr. McCormick and a Dr. Fuller, a doctor. Don't ask me, I forgot the names already.
Well, that's okay. Did the injured soldiers coming back talk about their experiences to you?
No, but I had that chased me. One time it just happened that I was going out to the chow hall. It was about maybe a quarter of a mile from the hospital, and I came out the door. The same time this man came out, and he was like 6'4". He was working in the morgue. And we started walking to the chow hall. But instead of going down the road, we took a shortcut across those buildings that were right ahead of us, you know. And we went through there, and I was talking to him, and he wasn't answering me. I turned around and looked. I couldn't find him no place. I even looked up in the air. I couldn't find him. And then I started looking over where they were building the barracks for the civilians to live. There he was, spread eagle on the side of that building. Someone had fired a shotgun.
Oh.
And he went over, and he was scared, and that's where he went.
Oh.
And another time, I was passing out 8 o'clock medications at night. And when you wanted the visitors to go home, you shut off the light switch, turned it on and off. And then the visitors would go. I just come off the women's ward and gave them their medication. and I had to go through a doorway to get to the men's surgical ward, and he was standing in the doorway, and he got drunk and he got married. He married a real tall, skinny girl, and he was standing in that doorway, and he had his arm wrapped over the top of the door frame like that, and this one like this, and he was standing right in the doorway. And in order for me to get through with my tray of pillows and stuff, I had to go under here, and I thought, well, he's talking to somebody, I won't interrupt it. So I scooted down like that underneath his arm, and he was going to kill me. He got both his fists, and I don't know, I was just so scared. I cried and I cried and I cried. And I went into the library and I took my pills with me, and I cried and I cried and I cried. He came in there and he kept apologizing to me, and he kept apologizing to me. And I was so scared. And he
Do you think it was like post-traumatic syndrome?
well, he was, they told me that he was in a tent with his, he was typing something, and a Japanese guy came with a knife, was going to stab him in the back. And this little guy that was there, he was about 5'4" tall. He jumped on the back of that Japanese guy that had the knife, and he killed this Japanese guy with the knife. And that's why he was afraid and everything. But I was afraid of him. I was definitely afraid of him.
So when you were down in the desert, did you go back to Michigan when your tour was over?
I think one time I went to Michigan. I went to work at Hines Veteran Hospital in Maywood.
Oh.
And I worked there, and that's where I met my husband. We started dating, and I think it was July of 1947, and we got married in July 2nd, 1949. We had 3 sons.
So you didn't go back to Michigan after?
No.
Did you think about staying in California, or?
No, I didn't like it that much.
No.
I used to look at those bushes there, and they used to be so proud of those bushes, and I would look at them and think, well, those look just like brush to me. In Michigan, we would have chopped those things down.
Do you still ever keep in contact with any of the other nurses that you served with?
My goodness, it's been so many years ago. I did in the beginning, but after you get children, you got so many things to think about.
Absolutely.
And I had 3 nice boys.
One thing you did for entertainment.
Well, I learned something. I learned how other people lived. And that was a great learning period of my life. I learned a lot of things.
And you were one of the original Rosie the Riveters, too.
I don't know if there was a lot of women working there then, but I didn't like that because it was too hard for me, because you always had your arms up like this, and it vibrated back and forth like that.
And what was the name of the place that you worked?
Willow Run Bomber Plant. Ford has it now. They made Fords there.